Hey, Nigerian XJW Speaks here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you are doing well. I hope you're keeping well. It's been a while. I thought, ease myself in a little bit, do a little reaction video. Because I was browsing on the internet and I saw that the governing body, they're doing updates and things. And so I thought that'd be an easy way to ease myself in and touch base. I hope you're doing well. If you're new here, hi, hello, welcome. Great to have you. If you are a subscriber, hi, fam. I see you. Great to have you on. I have a funny setup today, so I'm using my phone camera, but because I want to share my screen, so I'm doing that on my laptop. So when I actually am watching, I'm going to be looking this way rather than this way, which I'm so sorry. But that's where we're at, okay? So, short intro. I'm just gonna jump straight in because I don't want to take too long. I don't want to take too long. Okay, so it looks like the governing body, they've been doing all sorts, doing updates and whatnot. And so I went on my computer and there's this alert that, they have an alert for us to see. So I'm like, sure, let's see it. Let's see what it's about. So this is update number 5, apparently. Geoffrey Jackson. So this is about 2 days old. Geoffrey Jackson is going to encourage families to keep spiritually strong during the pandemic. And so this one's about parents and the children. As you can tell, I don't know what it's about. I've literally just opened it because I wanted to give my raw reaction to it. And it's about 14 and a half minutes long. You know, the ones where they're trying to get kids? That always doesn't sit right with me. But let's see. Let's see what they're up to. But let me make sure that, yeah. So the big one is the screen rather than my face. That's good. It should be, no, okay. So that's what I don't want. I actually think, no, I think this is fine because see of my reaction. I'm so out of practice. But anyway, let's go. Let's hope I can hear it.
Greetings, brothers and sisters.
No, I'm not.
And welcome to this update on the global COVID-19 pandemic. On behalf of the governing body, I want to tell you how encouraged we are when we hear about your endurance through these difficult times. In this update, I'd like to speak to you parents who are raising children. Although
pardon me, I'm just going to stop there. You know what just struck me? It's going to speak to parents, right? And I mean, this is not to say that if you don't have kids, you don't know anything about kids whatsoever. But isn't it interesting that at least as at the last time I checked, the only governing body member that had children was Tony Morris. None of them do. And so how this group of men are going to be the authority for raising kids when they don't have any themselves, and even someone like Stephen Lett, some people would argue that it seems to have this sort of disdain, this sort of attitude towards them, the way he talks about them. Yeah, that just really struck me. And I'm surprised they didn't ask Tony Morris to do it because he's usually the one that speaks when it comes to things about parenting because he's the one that had kids. So let's see.
all of us have had to stay vigilant to protect ourselves and others, you, dear parents, have carried a particularly heavy load. We can only imagine the deep concern you've had for your young children and teens during the pandemic. You worry about their physical safety and their education. You've also been concerned about the emotional impact of physical distancing for many months from other children, grandparents, relatives, and the congregation.
This all sounds normal. Yeah, it's been a tough year for places where kids have had to be home from school. Let's see where they go with this.
And you've handled all of this while you work to provide for them and keep up your family's spiritual routine. That's a lot on your shoulders. Remember that the prophecy in 2 Timothy chapter 3 tells us that in the last days, there would be critical times hard to deal with. So the fact that Satan is attacking the family unit...
I'm sorry. How did we go from parents having a tough time with working, raising kids, having them home from school, concern about the isolation, to Satan is attacking the family unit? That is such a leap. But that's going to make sense if you think you're in the last days of some sort of system that Satan is in charge of things. This thing is crazy. So Satan is attacking the family unit. This is going to be good.
It's no surprise to you parents. The surprise, however, may be when the attack takes an unexpected form, or perhaps feels like many attacks coming all at once. That's what the pandemic has been for many of you. Now I'm going to say something that you already know. Jehovah God and Jesus know how you feel. Their own example leaves...
I'm sorry. I keep stopping this. I'm going to get to the end of this. But how do I put this? So this has been a global pandemic, right? It's been all over the world. There's been no discrimination for whatever location you're in, whether you follow this 8 men or not. Everyone has been in the same thing. And Jehovah and Jesus know how you feel? Really? The scientists who hurried up with their abilities to create a vaccine to start improving prognosis for people who have this, that took them time because they have to go through processes. Are you telling me that there's a Jehovah and Jesus who could snap their fingers, right, and make this not happen, but they sat there and watched all of this happen, and I know how you feel? You take that feeling somewhere else. This is why it doesn't add up. The argument doesn't add up. The scientists can't snap their fingers. They have to do research. They have to do testing. They have to jump through hoops to get to a point where there's a vaccine that can help. And they've done that. Are you telling me there's a celestial being that could have stopped it right from the start? But it didn't. It just sat there watching as if peekaboo doesn't even exist. Millions of people have died. And he knows how you feel. He can take that somewhere else if he exists. But you know what? Just as well, he doesn't ever come and say it. It's always apparently through people like this to say he knows how he feels.
No doubt.
That's annoying.
For instance, there were times when Jehovah stepped in to protect his son when he was on the earth. He first carefully entrusted Jesus to the care of loving parents. And when Herod wanted to kill Jesus as a child, Jehovah told Joseph and Mary to flee to Egypt until the threat passed.
It's convenient, isn't it?
You could say it was like an extended lockdown that kept them away from family and friends for some time.
Wow. Extended lockdown. Oh my gosh. Wow. Extended lockdown. Don't do it. So he can intervene. That's what I'm hearing here. He took the time to get him to loving parents, so he can get involved like that. But he's watched people lose loved ones, children lose parents, even some children themselves dying. But all of that is fine. He just stepped in 2,000 years ago when his son was apparently in trouble. That doesn't make sense.
Jesus experienced what it's really like to grow up as a child in a wicked world. He knows the pressures and the dangers. It's no wonder that he took a special interest in children during his ministry. And today, he shares your deep concern for your children. But you Christian parents have other good examples to look to. It's the example of our brothers and sisters who live in areas that have been hit hard by the pandemic. More recently, this has been the case in India and Brazil. We spoke to parents in those lands and asked them how this has affected their families. And
this is just, how can you keep a straight face? Yes, let's talk about India and Brazil, shall we? Let's talk about that. Where you had mass graves, bodies being burnt because they just couldn't keep up with the funeral. Now let's talk about that. Let's talk about how this supposed Jehovah watched that happen. Do you even think about this? And now you're going to point to them as an example, as if they haven't suffered enough? Let's see where this is going.
In particular, their children.
For a child, it's been a whole year without being able to play with other children. So they really miss being with their friends.
A big challenge that parents have now is coming up with something fun for them to do as a family, so that their child doesn't feel upset or sad.
They feel anxious to go out, and it's very challenging for us to keep them motivated to stay inside.
Our family was infected with COVID-19. It was physically and emotionally very stressful for all of us.
We are not able to meet the friends at the Kingdom Hall anymore. Neither can we see our relatives, so the kids, they are getting really bored.
Right after the pandemic began, we got the news that Denise had cancer. Of course, one of our main concerns was our daughter. She really became anxious about what was going to happen to her mom.
Those are real problems. You know, someone dealing with cancer on top of this. Those are real problems that people have had to deal with. And I know I keep coming back to this. The problem of evil, it just is like this great big sticking point that just doesn't add up to the character of this God that we're supposed to take seriously. It doesn't add up.
Perhaps you can sympathize with some of the challenges parents in India and Brazil are facing. We know it's not been easy for parents and families during the pandemic. But with every trial, there are also opportunities to remain loyal to Jehovah and to grow spiritually.
That is not the most important thing.
Many parents
remain
have said
loyal.
that they've had more time with their children to do what it says at Deuteronomy 6, verses 6 and 7. These words that I am commanding you today must be on your heart, and you must inculcate them in your sons, and speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk on the road, and when you lie down, and when you get up. Many of us have more time to sit in our house during the pandemic, whether we wanted to or not. But if this was your circumstance, hopefully you make good use of the opportunity.
Are you going to tell them how
Jehovah
they should have done that
gave the command to Israel because he knew that spiritually strong families would be happy families.
So let me guess. This whole thing is going to be, did you spend that time reading more literature, listening to these guys more? That is not what they needed. That is not what they needed. Let me see how this is going to be
spun.
The
same is true today. When your family stays close to Jehovah, you bring a blessing to yourself and your congregation. But you parents are not just caring for your children's spiritual needs, You have spiritual needs too. Jehovah's command in Deuteronomy chapter 6 said that Israelite parents must have his words on their heart. Notice the benefit you gain when you make time for your spirituality. Proverbs 20 and verse 7 explains it this way. The righteous one is walking in his integrity. Happy are his children who come after him. So righteous parents make for happy children. Parents, we know that you know these things. We commend you for what you're doing, and we're praying for Jehovah's Holy Spirit to give you strength even when you feel tired out. Our spiritual routine is even more important when we're being tested.
No,
The families
important
we
to
met
who?
from India and Brazil were aware of this too. They shared what they've done to adapt their spiritual routine to meet the challenge of the pandemic.
That is putting pressure on people who already have their hands full.
We go out in the ministry together as a family much more often than we did before.
Saturday is a special day for us. We work together as a family.
What, are they saying that they go out? Are they going out to talk to people in the middle of a pandemic? I hope they had safety measures in place. They went out more than ever. Is this the woman that said she had cancer as well, which diminishes immunity?
Family every Saturday morning. And we make plans with other families who are also close friends of our children. We always have a very enjoyable time.
Tell
When
me
we
they're doing
conduct
this
our Bible
online.
studies, we have them sit in. The kids watch us closely and they learn from us.
Family worship has played a very important role. It's a relaxed atmosphere in which you can have a good time.
One of the games we play is you name a Bible character and the next person has to come up with someone whose name starts with the last letter of the name that was just said. This way the
Useless
kids are getting to
information.
know new Bible characters.
Useless
and they're learning a lot
information.
about them.
One of
Pointless
our projects is
information.
a model of Noah's Ark.
Our kids have learned almost all the original songs.
We've
Useless
played a few games
information.
using some of the activities on jw.org.
Wow.
We made some models of Bible accounts.
We enacted Bible scenes and role plays of Bible characters.
There was one time that we wrapped our son in toilet paper, and he was Lazarus.
And we have considered timely articles appearing on jw.org.
We also did a project on the metal image of Daniel's prophecy.
Our son enjoys family worship because we do things that he likes, something that holds his attention, and it's fun.
And seeing them happy makes us happy.
I mean,
This has got us through.
there's nothing wrong with play acting. I think that's quite fun. The thing for me is a lot of these Bible stories. Let's talk about the one of Noah, for example, reenacting Noah's Ark. Can we dig into that story? Because that is actually the story of how God supposedly, I'm trying to find a word that's not going to get this video blocked, drowned all of the Earth's population, leaving 8 people. That's a lovely story, isn't it? That's really lovely. Let's teach that to kids. Like, when you think this thing through, when you think it through, these are not nice stories to be teaching to kids. Babies, like, these are not nice stories. Play acting, that's one thing. The material is problematic. Learning different names of Bible characters, learning songs, all of that is useless information. That's not going to be of any benefit to them anywhere outside this small bubble. Yeah.
Close to each other.
And it also helps us to draw closer to Jehovah.
With Jehovah's help, we can get through anything.
Well, only with Jehovah's help. Everybody else that sort of has been going through the same thing for the last 12 months, I guess, they're all disappeared then. I'm trying to be very careful with the words that I use. Only with Jehovah's help are we here, clearly. Let's continue this thing.
Perhaps something those families are doing can work or is already working for your family. Let's review some suggestions that can help your family's spiritual routine.
I don't have high hopes here.
For families with young children, dramatize Bible scenes.
Don't do that. Some
Your
of them are
children may
horrible.
like to dress up and make props to bring the account to life and remember the lessons.
Yeah, the genocidal
and the good thing
lessons.
Is, you don't need expensive props to make this interesting.
Abraham, Noah, Cain and
Playing
Abel.
memory games. This could be based on recent points from the meetings or something they've been reading or watching on JW Broadcasting. Try a jw.org activity for children together.
The advertising is
These are under
shameless.
the Bible teaching section of the website.
Oh my gosh.
But if you have young children, I suspect you've been there before. And here are some ideas for families with teens. Practice what-if situations.
That's that.
Perhaps let your teen choose a situation they're concerned about. Talk about goals. These can be short-term or long-term goals.
Is it going to be goals that
Let
they
your
actually
teen
want
tell
or
why
the
they
ones
chose
that
the goal
Watchtower wants?
and what steps they feel will help them reach it. Read or watch a life story. Again, let your teen choose a life story of someone they're interested in.
Within reason.
Remember, though, that you don't have to use every suggestion. Talk to your family, pray about it, and try what you think can make a difference for you. And of course, there's nothing wrong with watching JW Broadcasting during family worship. After all, that's why we're here.
Of course.
But when you do,
Plug in.
try to make it more than just watching TV. Take time to talk about the program as a family, either at the end of the broadcast or after each segment. Those are the suggestions. Now, here are the necessities for your family.
Oh, necessities now. Okay.
Pray together every day. Try to include the feelings and concerns of each family member. Keep attending the meetings.
Wow.
Help each other to pay attention.
I tell you, this is how you have a group of people telling parents how to live your life. In fact, they call it necessities for the family. So this is beyond what you're doing with the kids. This is for yourself as well. They're telling you what to do. In this time, people have enough on their plate without trying to log into some humdrum meeting.
Attention and participate. Unlike being in the Kingdom Hall, we may have many distractions when we attend from home. Share in the ministry together.
No.
As the pandemic continues
Please
to limit how
don't.
we do our preaching work, talk about the different forms of the ministry you can do and how each family member feels about them. Listen and encourage everyone to do their best.
Please don't do that with your time. Just
Finally,
do something better with your
we urge
time.
you parents to keep doing what you already know is vital. Be alert for signs that your children are struggling with negative emotions or stress.
And how do you fix that?
If you sense that they are, please read the article, Help Your Children
Read the
Cope
article.
with Stress.
Wow.
It's in the Awake of
It's
July
all about
22,
the article, isn't it?
1993, pages 10
Oh, that's
and
current.
11. There you'll find wonderful suggestions on what you can do.
Like what?
Jehovah loves your family. He knows what you're contending with, and he wants to help you. The pandemic has been just one of many tests we'll face in the last days. Now, that's not meant to discourage you. It's just reality. But with Jehovah's help, your family can come out of each test spiritually stronger and more prepared to face what's ahead. Jeremiah chapter 17 gives us this beautiful assurance.
Honestly, it's funny how these things, well, it's not funny. When you're looking in from the outside, these things hit different. They sound different. The last thing I can imagine trying to fit in the last 12 months is to be logging into some extra meeting. Parents have enough meetings to do for work that actually has some sort of benefit for them. They have the added pressure of trying to participate in some ministry. And I really hope they don't mean face to face, because this is not the time to be doing stuff like that. But that is something extra for parents to have to think about. And their quote unquote necessities and suggestions, they're all things to do with them. So how free are you really to do what you see fit for your family?
Assurance in verse 7. Blessed is the man who puts his trust in Jehovah, whose confidence is in Jehovah. And verse 8 concludes saying, and in the year of drought, he will not be anxious, nor will he quit producing fruit. Of course, we also want these tests to end, and they will. When you look back at the pandemic from the new world, it will seem momentary and light, even if it doesn't seem so now. In the meantime, we continue to pray for all of you, parents, children, and all in our worldwide spiritual family. May Jehovah bless your love and endurance. From the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses, this is JW Broadcasting.
You know, something else I thought about as well, how these men, they've just been fine the whole time, right? They haven't had to deal with what everyone else has had to deal with. People losing jobs, offices being closed, people losing livelihoods. Like, they've been shielded from this whole thing. So they can sit there and say, he that is trusting in Jehovah is not going to be anxious in the time of drought. Everything's going to be fine, because everything's going to be fine for them, right? You know, what's the bit about parents that have had to, you know, figure out an extra means because they've lost jobs? Now, a country like the UK, they've had a furlough scheme, but I know that not every place has that. Where I'm from, Nigeria, people have had to keep going out because there is no government support. You know, if you're not making it yourself, you're not having it. And so people having to literally risk their lives to still go out every day to get their needs covered for the day. And this man can sit there and say he's not going to be anxious because the minute, no, that's disrespectful. The members are still going to find a way to contribute. And I won't be surprised if I go back to any of the previous, what's the word I'm looking for? Am I still sharing this screen? Let me stop this. But any of these previous episodes, I might actually try and cover them later on. I won't be surprised if they said something like, oh, by the way, keep donating, keep contributing. I won't be surprised if they've done that. So complete lack of empathy for what the people actually tangibly need, not what's best for the organization, not just about driving traffic to their website, but actually what do people need that's going to be beneficial for them. That's what I'm not hearing. But I don't want to go over 30 minutes. I hope I covered sort of the main points that came out for me. It's a lot of the same things, a lot of the things that are unfounded, problem of evil, lack of empathy, the hypocrisy, and just I hope the members are keeping safe, because clearly these men don't really care. That's it from me. I'm going to leave it there. Have a great rest of the day. And yeah, I'll speak to you on the next one. If you like it, subscribe and share and all of that. And I'll speak to you soon. Don't want to go over 30 minutes. Bye.